Anybody go buy a chamois?
What's chamois? No.
Anybody go buy a pack of Kleenex? So y'all are gonna get dirty hands. Okay, good deal.
Woohoo!
Everybody have one. Okay. You gonna? I haven't taught this particular technique in a while in the regular drawing classes, governance and iPad drawing. So I'm trying to find examples here, and so I may have to stretch back here or reach back a ways here to find the examples. Okay, now you can identify this particular assignment with these are value studies. However, this is a hatching technique. Okay. And the white of your paper is going to be the highlights. This is a stunning drawing. Let's display this one. This is actually charcoal, but it's black and white instead. We're going to do black and white and values of gray. We're going to do studies, drawings of. Anybody know what this is?
That's the thing you.
The Dexter method. So we are going to do graphite, then we're going to do
Charcoal. Okay. Just because they're traditional materials, and those materials come in stick form, pencil form, even charcoal comes in something called a willow, and it is actually a willow branch, a stick that's been burnt in an oven, and those willow twigs create a soft gray, a kind of a medium value gray. Okay, and we're going to learn an additive technique of hatching, and the hatching we're most probably just going to do just with graphite, and they're powdered forms of either. There is a subtractive method I'm going to teach you, and there is an additive method I'm going to teach you, and then we're going to combine the two into a kind of a yin-yang, okay, positive, negative, add, remove, as a way to shape things. With these drawings, I want you to lay out your composition with a pencil gesture, a very light pencil gesture. Okay, just block out your composition very quickly where you want it to be placed within your rectangle, okay, your scale, etc. And we are not going to have contour lines at all in these drawings, okay? You will have edges, and the edges of the shapes will have a value, and the way you will discern one object from another is because there will be a contrast of value where the edges meet. Okay, so for example, let me try to find a good example in here. A drawing without lines, because we don't see lines. Okay, well, we see edges of value. So turn around and look at the paper bags. You do see linear edges of things, but you do not see contour lines around everything. everything. The reason you see the object having value and volume and mass and a perception of 3 dimension is because the way value is seen, okay? So when you render with this particular exercise, and it's called hatching, it is with hatched lines, which is an extension of a gesture mark. It is a gesture mark. It's done very loosely on the page. And you're going to indicate changes of value by using hatched lines. So you see a light value on one side, a little bit darker, and it changes from lighter to darker. This is a very plastic technique, and it's a very subtle technique. So you can make minute changes in value with hatching, simply by varying 2 things, and I'll show you that in the demonstration. Okay, so my first is to show you, you see there are no lines here except where we actually do see lines with the wrinkles, but you see edges, okay? And this is a subtractive technique where you use your erasers, your kneaded eraser, and your rubber eraser, okay? And you see soft edges. This is very, very important. You see soft edges. Look at the soft edges here. This is a hard edge. It's very abrupt. It changes from one thing to the other very abruptly. Boom. Okay. So if we look at those paper bags again, you see hard edges and you see soft edges. Where you see gradual changes in value, that's a soft edge. Where you see abrupt changes in value, those are hard edges, okay? So where you see a soft edge, look at the soft edges here and the gradual changes, okay? Boom, hard edge. Boom, hard edge, but soft edge, light to dark. Soft edges, gradual changes. So you're going to mark where there are hard edges, and you're going to indicate where there are soft edges, okay? But this is a particular technique that won't allow you to do contour lines, okay? So we're going to start here because we just came out of the gesture assignment. Very loose rendering. Washes, values, sticks, very exploitative, emotive mark making, okay? Well, this particular discipline is all about the mark making. It's all about the repetition of the mark. So what are we looking at here?
It's drapery.
Drapery, fabric, yes. And do you see there are gradual changes? Even with the hatched mark, you can see the curve, okay? And you can see the gradual changes from light to dark, okay? So this was done on the iPad, and so we've got a little bit different tool, marker, brush on the iPad. But pretty much anything we can do in an actual studio class, we can do and imitate and mimic on the iPad. And the printing part is actually the critical part. We want to enlarge the scale so we don't see those pixelated chunks on the edges. So we managed to do. Oh, let's, I'm going to pull out some examples here. And I'm going to pull out some examples in the books of, these are all additive and subtractive drawings done with the graphite powder and the charcoal powder, okay? So unfortunately you're going to be making some new graphite hatch drawings for our reservoir. We've got to fill it back up again. So come on over here to the desk where you can see me, and you can do videos, you can do still photographs so that you can understand the body movement, the arm movement, and it's not a knuckle bending thing, okay? And I want you to hold your pencils just like you've been holding your sticks. You don't want to clench, okay? And the reason I don't want you holding your pencils like you do if you're writing, I want you holding them as if it was a baby holding a spoon, is because it is looser, it is more relaxed. And this cannot be an uptight technique. You have to be very relaxed to do it. So remember how much you should have been relaxing and moving with your sticks and ink when we did the gesture drawing. And this is just a more organized, repetitious gesture mark. So it's an extension of the gesture, only it's just going to be a repetitious mark. Okay? Now, just like with the graphite wash drawings that we've done, you're going to be using your value scale, okay? And we've got my pencils here, and I've got my hatching chart, okay? So you can see that it's organized into a value scale, okay? Still organized into a value scale. All right, so by looking at this hatching scale, tell me how you think you get light values. And we are going to do the same thing. We're going to work light to dark, okay? You're going to develop your drawing overall. You're not going to work on one little spot from start to finish. You're going to do all the light values first, okay? And avoid the absolutely crispy white highlights. That's the white paper, okay? Anybody have a white charcoal pencil? Anybody have that? Good, okay, we'll be using those, okay? And so once you've got the lightest values done, then you begin on the next darker. So how do you get a light value?
The pressure you apply to it.
Pressure, okay. How else? Space between the lines, okay. More space here. It's not as dense as it is up here. How else?
Harder pencil.
A harder pencil, yeah.
Thickness of the line. Thickness.
Thickness of the line.
Yeah, more layers.
More layers make it successively darker, plus what else will get it darker?
The type of chocolate. Softer.
The softer lead, which is B. Okay, H, remember, is hard. HB is right in the middle. And B is soft, okay? The B pencils, soft, equals dark. The H pencils, hard, equals light. The higher the number, the harder the pencil, the lighter the mark. For the B pencils, the higher the number, the softer the pencil, the darker the mark. Okay, you can increase any of that or decrease it by your touch. Okay, see how I'm holding this? Okay. Okay. It's not a regimented stroke, 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 stroke. Okay. It is you start light. Okay, now watch. I can, even with just one pencil, I think this is a 6B, okay? I can use the side of it. I can vary hatching. I kind of use the angle of the tip, right? I'm not using the tip. Okay. Okay, and you're just going to be hatching. So there's also a technique I use to think about this, because I used to do these. I used to sew my own clothes, and I used to do embroidery. Anybody know how to do that in class? A little bit? Okay. They teach that in costume design, yeah. So there's a technique with embroidery where you weave your threads together like this, okay? So that as you create hatched passages, you're going to weave the threads of your strokes together like this, okay? You're not going to create, and I'll show you the correct way and the incorrect way, okay? The clunky, unsuccessful, abrupt, awkward way, and then I'll show you the beautiful, threaded, successful, gradual way, okay? So your strokes that integrate like this. So you see how I'm coming in here and kind of weaving the strokes together with my layering and kind of jumping around, okay? So that's going to be, and again, you can vary it with your pressure, more strokes, okay? So it's not this kind of thing, okay? See how rigid and tight and stiff and, yeah, okay? You don't rush it. It's, believe me, this technique pays off, and it puts you in a meditative zone if you just get absorbed by the drawing and the technique. Listen to the music when I play it, and it's got a beautiful rhythm and repetition to it, so that your patience will be paid off by, your brain will generate really good chemicals. I mean, you will feel like everything's right with the world. It's true. Okay, so your brain generates the best chemicals if you know how to tap into it. So okay, so it's soothing, it's rewarding. Okay, so we don't want to do this kind of thing, which is called cross-hatching. I want you to go one direction throughout the entire drawing. So up here, we're going to go the same direction. Okay, you're not going to come up here where there's another object and decide, yeah, I'm hatching in one direction. You don't want every object hatched in a completely different direction. It's very distracting. You want a beautiful rhythm through the entire drawing, okay? And you want it going in the same direction. Okay, now let me show you abrupt. This is how not to do it, where you grind in lines and the lines meet, boom, head on, okay? That's awkward, that's abrupt. You don't want to see the lines as big hunks and chunks of awkwardly placed, distracting patches of grinding on the surface, okay? So you want beautifully hatched, okay? And do you see how loose this pencil is in my hand, okay? Okay, so now, how do we render these objects with this technique? Somebody loan me the rubber eraser. I don't think I got one right here. Hang on. I got 3 right here. Now, I'll get some razor blades for you all. I told you I would be giving, or you can use your X-Acto knife, okay? And, oh, nice. We have a technique that we use our erasers with, okay? And I'm just trying to stroke in one direction, okay? Just lightly touch the surface on the downstroke. And this is something you can do with these drawings as you work on them. If you're hatching something up here, you can move that part of your drawing closer to you to hatch it a little bit easier. Yeah. Okay, so don't forget you can move your drawings around. Okay, so let's say I have a oh, and here's a reminder to go in the same direction. Your sample does that, your chart does that, okay? To just build on the value. So let's say, and you know, you're going to love this because it's not ink and you can change things, right? You can move the edges of things, and we don't want a perfect gesture to start with. I was telling this to my drawing class on Tuesday night. When you show the different positions of things, and you work light to dark, and you show the entire history of mark making with your drawing, that's called pentum. Shows the process of the beginning, middle, to end of your drawing. So you're seeing everything that's part of your execution. You'll see this in Rembrandt, you'll see this in Da Vinci. You look at Da Vinci's sketchbooks and drawings, or even half-painted images, or half-drawn pastels or charcoals. You will see parts of the figure of the Madonna and Child are left as just the barest indication and suggestion of a foot or a hand or a head, because it's just, he left it as part gesture. So you see the beginning stages of a drawing. Your gesture is like the bones, okay? And you don't get rid of it. You leave it, you draw on top of it. That's part of the beauty of the pentimento, which exploits the process. It's a beautiful mark, right? You want to let the beautiful marks stay as part of the drawing and the finished product. Okay. Okay, we've got part of a paper bag here that I see, and then there's an airplane. Okay. And I'm not going to get in there and be specific about anything. I'm being very loose. And there's another paper bag here. Okay, now these drawings will take a while, but keep them loose. I'm not looking for tight, finished quality in these. I'm looking for, what do you think I'm looking for? And it's not just me, it's what is part of the beauty that we're looking for, a list of the characteristics that is going to be part of what's beautiful in these drawings. Let's get a shopping list together. What are the characteristics we want to see as a final result? Lightness. Values. Okay. Remember, what did I tell you was the ideal value range in any black and white image? It's going to be
The middle, the mediums,
all of it. Yes, you want the crispy whites, you want the rich dark blacks, and you want the range in between. Okay, I gave you this formula in the last week. What creates flatness? High contrast, black and white. What creates the illusion of volume in 3 dimensions? Everything. Gradual change. Okay? Abrupt change makes it flat. The more values that you incorporate, the more illusion of dimension. Okay? this is an incredible technique because now we get to have subtlety, right? We get to have more than 10 values if we want, okay? But for you to create the illusion of 3D, now we have all these values. So, all right, so how do I do this? All right, you want to see what value is that. So you want to check and make sure that, well, how am I going to start? Just start hatching. Okay, where it's light, you don't want, I'm going to switch to a harder pencil here. That 6B is about as dark as you're going to get. So looks like the hardest pencil I have here is going to be a HB. Look at that. Wow. Look at the difference that makes. That's the lightest mark I could make with the 6B. And this is an HB. Look at how light the marks are. Now, your marks do not have to go across the whole thing. They can if you want. I'm going to be making more hatched marks in there. And I can just, do you see how I'm not paying attention to the edge just yet? Do you see how my marks go whoosh, right outside of where that object is going to lie? Yeah. So don't worry about the edges, because guess what I can do?
Just erase.
Well, I can erase, you know. What else can I do?
You can darken one place.
Yeah, you know what? Wherever I have the crispest white highlights, then I can erase that. And go in, and I'm going to erase with a hatched mark. So the sharp edge of your erasers, your new erasers, that's important. When you wear it down into a rounded edge, that's when you want to take your X-Acto knife or your razor and cut a sliver off so you have a nice white edge.
When you're hatching, do you have to stay within the object or can you overlap?
No, you see, come on up here and see how I'm really, well, I am, look at, I'm getting it everywhere. I don't want the edges of the shape to contain my strokes because that's too restrictive. That's not true gesture. That's uptight. That's rigid. That's okay. So I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to go over these strokes over here. I can start at the edge and try to make it fit, but that's not comfortable. I don't like that. That's not enjoyable. It's not relaxing. It's going to give me a headache. Okay? Because all my muscles are getting rigid now. So you just want to, yes. And so I'm not worrying about it because I'm going to have some value in here. And I'm going to have some value over here. And I'm only marking in the lightest value right now. Okay? And I'm going to do that all over. And if my markers don't make it across, I'm going to pick up and weave my strokes in. Okay? And this is where we can come in and really, you're going to layer over and over and over and over because we're not going to be seeing those edges. So the edges might look more organic, where they look more rigid. You can use your erasers not to do this. That's an abrupt change, which doesn't work with the strokes of the hatching. You want to, and this is not a very big eraser, but you want to use your erasers to hatch so that you are removing, so you're subtracting. Okay? So it makes my gesture less dominant. It doesn't get rid of the gesture, but it makes it less dominant. Okay? So it's an additive. And subtractive. give and take, all right? And remember, this is not for cranking on it, and scrubbing big honking marks. This is a mark making tool, your eraser. Okay, it is a mark making tool. All right, so let's do this. You've got your pencils, you've got your technique, you've got your process. Would you like to bring the fruit back out? Wooden fruit? You can draw some really big wooden fruit. Okay, what's the end goal? So we've got our list. We want value. What else do we want?
High contrast.
Value. We've got the value. So we want, okay, we don't want abrupt changes. We want gradual changes. Gradual changes equal 3D, equal volume. What else?
Identifiable.
Identifiable. Okay, recognizable shapes. What else? What's your technique? Hatching, okay, and the beautiful mark, and one direction, right? Okay, what else? Okay, we've got value equals volume equals 3D. We've got, what was the next thing? You guys making a list? Tell me, what was the next thing? Identifiable. Third thing was hatching, beautiful marks, repetitive technique. What else are we looking for in these drawings?
Gradual change.
Gradual change, okay. More subtlety, okay. All right, there you go. Now, if you want to just take a sheet of paper and practice with it, just to check out your pencils, do it in your notebook, do it just to figure out what kind of value each one of your pencils gives you, okay? Make sure you get at least one eraser out, and you can use your kneaded eraser too, okay? But we're mostly going to use that when we use toned paper. And we're going to do that with the powdered graphite. So we're going to do that next class, okay? Today is the hatching. So, okay? Go for it.